I'm going to be talking about M&Ms and cheese, but when I explain the research, you'll see it applies to whatever your favourite food or drink is. This hack can certainly help you lose weight, but if you want to eat more healthily, it can work for that too. Are you struggling with a strong desire for chicken nuggets or a particular flavour of ice cream? Then this research is for you. We're told not to think about foods we want to eat, but we all know how difficult that can be. Once I've explained the research and its results, I'll explain why there isn't really a conflict between the normal advice, don't think about stuff, and this research, which is telling you something different. The research I want to look at comes from Carnegie Mellon University in the USA. There's a link to more information on the research in the video description. Participants were told they were going to take part in an experiment on imagination and perception. This is very normal in research. They weren't told that the researchers want to see if imagining food could lead to less eating of it later. The researchers didn't want the participants to know what they were going to measure, because that could influence how the participants responded to the experiment. So they didn't know. The researchers found that people who imagined eating 30 M&Ms or 30 cheese cubes ate less afterwards when they were given a bowl containing the real thing, M&Ms or cheese cubes. Let's get a bit more detailed. People who imagined eating M&Ms ate fewer M&Ms later, but they didn't eat any less cheese. Those who imagined eating cheese didn't eat fewer M&Ms later, but did eat less cheese. In other words, it definitely matters which food you imagine, because that's the one which will be affected when you eat it later. This hack comes from my book, 190 Weight Loss Hacks, How to Lose Weight Naturally and Permanently Without Stress. It's available on Amazon and Audible. The researchers also found that when people imagined eating 30 M&Ms or 30 cubes of cheese, they ate less than people who imagined eating 3 M&Ms or 3 cubes of cheese. The researchers also compared people who imagined eating M&Ms with participants who imagined moving M&Ms into a bowl. They found that imagining eating the M&Ms was much more effective than imagining moving them. Let's look at where we've got to so far. Imagining eating a food decreases the actual amount of food you eat later. You need actively to imagine eating it, not just looking at it, fantasizing about it or touching it. The more of the food you imagine eating, the less you will eat later. I hope you're finding this information useful. Please like, comment, share and subscribe if you do. It means a lot to me to know I'm giving you useful, practical, evidence-based advice. So what's going on? Professor Carey Morwedge says that they think imagining eating the food means people become habituated to the food. Habituation is the technical term for when people become less responsive to something the more they are exposed to it. When you eat something, the first mouthful is often really enjoyable, but you get less and less enjoyment the more you eat. You may go on eating, but you get less enjoyment. This is habituation. So when you imagine eating a food, you start that process of habituation so that by the time you get to the actual food, it's much less enjoyable and therefore you're likely to eat less. So why does this conflict with the advice not to think about food that is full of calories and not to keep it where you can see it and be reminded about it? You may have already worked this out, but just to be clear, this research was based on imagining eating it, not just thinking about it. Thinking about it in some wistful way generally does not help. Going full in and imagining really eating or drinking it, that's has the beneficial effect. My book, 190 Weight Loss Hacks, How to Lose Weight Naturally and Permanently Without Stress, has lots more simple hacks like these. It's available on Amazon and Audible.